People often underestimate just how much of an impact their actions have compared to their words. We live in a world where talk is cheap. Anyone can promise, anyone can say they care, anyone can declare their goals or their values. But in the end, what people remember is not the speech you gave, the promises you made, or the declarations you posted on social media. What sticks in their minds is what you did. Your actions form the real evidence of who you are and what you believe. Think about it. If someone says they are committed to honesty, but they are caught lying, what do you believe, their words or their actions? If someone claims they are hardworking, but they consistently take shortcuts, what speaks louder, the claim or the behavior? The truth is, your actions always win. They are the final verdict in the court of life. You might be able to fool someone temporarily with words, but actions are the undeniable proof that reveal your true intentions. When you consistently show up, when you fulfill commitments without excuses, when you work with focus and integrity, people start to trust you. Not because you told them to trust you, but because they saw you in action. Trust isn't built in a single statement. It's built over time through consistent behavior. One genuine act is worth 100 polished speeches. This is why the person who quietly works behind the scenes often commands more respect than the one who loudly talks about their dreams but never moves toward them. You might say you want to be successful, but if you don't back that up with the necessary work, discipline, and sacrifice, your words are empty. It's like a farmer telling everyone he's going to have the best harvest, but he never plants seeds. His words can be poetic, but the field will stay empty. The beauty of actions is that they speak to everyone without translation. A person in one country can see someone in another part of the world working tirelessly and immediately understand the language of dedication. Effort, commitment, discipline, these are universal. You don't have to explain them. You simply have to live them. It's also important to understand that your actions speak even when you think no one is watching. You might believe the little things you do in private don't matter, but they do. First, they shape your own self-image. You begin to see yourself through the lens of your consistent choices. Second, habits formed in private eventually show up in public. If you're careless when no one's around, it will surface in your work. If you're disciplined in the quiet moments, that discipline will shine when it matters most. Living in alignment with what you say is the fastest way to build influence. People are drawn to authenticity, and authenticity is simply the alignment between your words and your actions. The more consistent they are, the stronger your credibility becomes. And the opposite is also true. The moment your actions contradict your words, trust begins to crumble. So, if you want to inspire others, don't just tell them what you believe, show them. If you want to lead, don't just command, demonstrate. If you want to be remembered, don't rely on speeches. Let your life be the loudest statement you ever make. Because in the end, words fade, but actions echo for a lifetime. Your daily habits are the truest reflection of who you are and what you believe. You can tell the world about your goals, your dreams, and your values. But if your everyday behavior does not support those claims, they remain nothing more than wishful thinking. Your habits are like a mirror. Every day they reveal your real priorities, whether you admit them or not. It's easy to say you want to be healthy, but do your habits show that? Do you choose nutritious food? Do you make time to exercise? Do you get enough rest? If the answer is no, then your habits are telling a different story. The same is true in business or personal growth. You can talk endlessly about wanting success, but if your daily routine is full of procrastination, distraction, and excuses, then your habits are voting against your dreams. The truth is, you don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your habits. Intentions are like seeds. They have potential, but unless they are nurtured through daily discipline, they will never grow. Habits are the water, sunlight, and soil for your goals. Without them, nothing happens. Small actions repeated daily shape your future far more than occasional bursts of effort. A person who exercises for 10 minutes every day will be in better shape than someone who works out for 2 hours once a month. Consistency compounds over time. It's not the size of the action that matters most. It's the repetition, the commitment to doing it again and again until it becomes second nature. Habits are also powerful because they work quietly. They don't demand attention, but over months and years, they transform your life. You might not see the change in a week, but 6 months later, you realize you've built a stronger body, a sharper mind, a more disciplined spirit. That's the magic of daily habits. They work in the background while you keep showing up. There's another truth about habits. They reveal your real priorities. You may tell yourself that family is important, but if you never make time for them, Your habits are telling the truth, that other things are more important. You may claim personal growth matters to you, but if you never read, study, or learn, your habits are contradicting your words. Life doesn't judge you by your intentions. It judges you by your patterns. The good news is you can choose your habits. You are not locked into the ones you have now. Every day is a fresh chance to design a life through intentional action. But that choice must be conscious. You must decide, this is the kind of person I want to be, and then build the habits that match that identity. If you want to be a leader, act like one every day. If you want to be financially free, manage your money wisely every day. In the end, your life will not be shaped by what you occasionally do when you feel motivated. It will be shaped by what you repeatedly do when no one is cheering, when the work feels boring, when progress is invisible. Your habits are your real commitment. They are your silent promise to yourself and to the world. And if your daily actions align with your vision, then you won't need to convince anyone of your potential. They will see it unfolding in front of them. The real measure of who you are is not found in the promises you make in public, but in the standards you hold yourself to when no one is watching. Private discipline is the foundation of public respect. You cannot live carelessly in the shadows and expect to shine in the spotlight. What you do in the quiet hours, when there's no audience, no applause, no recognition, will eventually be revealed in the quality of your work, the depth of your character, and the results you produce. Anyone can look committed for a few minutes in front of others. Anyone can give the appearance of discipline when the boss is watching or when the crowd is paying attention. But true discipline is proven in the hidden moments, when you could take the easy way out and no one would know, yet you choose to do the right thing anyway. That is the kind of discipline that builds strength, integrity, and credibility. Private discipline is like the roots of a tree. You can't see them, but they determine whether the tree will stand strong during storms. The deeper the roots, the more unshakable the tree. If you want your life to stand strong in challenges, you need deep roots of personal discipline, habits and standards that you uphold without the need for an audience or external pressure. When you train yourself to act with excellence in private, you eliminate the gap between who you are in public and who you are in reality. This alignment creates authenticity, and authenticity commands respect. People can sense when someone's public image is genuine because it matches their private reality. On the other hand, when there is a big difference between the two, sooner or later, the truth comes out, and with it, respect is lost. Think of an athlete who practices relentlessly when no one is watching. They don't just perform well because of talent. They perform well because they've disciplined themselves to push hard in the unseen hours. By the time they step into the arena, the work has already been done. The performance is simply a reflection of the private preparation. The same is true for you. If you prepare, study, work, and refine your skills in private, you will naturally command respect in public without having to ask for it. This kind of discipline is not easy because there is no instant reward. No one claps for you when you choose to study instead of waste time. No one congratulates you for waking up early to work on your goals. But the real reward shows up later in the results you achieve and the way people respond to your consistency. Respect is earned over time, and it is built on the invisible foundation of the decisions you make when no one is looking. Private discipline also builds self-respect. When you consistently keep promises to yourself, you start to believe in your own word. You develop confidence, not because someone told you you're capable, but because you have proven it to yourself over and over again. That inner confidence is unshakable because it's based on truth, not on someone else's opinion. In the end, people may be impressed by your talents or inspired by your words, but they will respect you for your discipline. And the kind of discipline that earns lasting respect is the discipline that exists in the unseen moments. If you want the world to take you seriously, first take yourself seriously in private. Live in such a way that even if every word you've ever spoken were forgotten, your actions would still tell the story of a life built on integrity and excellence. Life operates on a law as old as time: you reap exactly what you sow. This truth doesn't bend for anyone, no matter how talented, smart, or lucky they may seem. The law of the harvest is absolute. If you plant seeds of laziness, you cannot expect to harvest abundance. If you plant excuses, you will never gather excellence. And if you plant nothing at all, then nothing is exactly what you'll get. Every choice you make, every effort you put in, and every attitude you carry is a seed. Some seeds grow quickly, others take years, but all of them grow into something. You cannot avoid the harvest. You can only decide what you're planting. This is why your daily actions matter so much. The results you have in your life right now are the product of seeds you planted long ago, whether you realized it or not. The law of the harvest teaches us patience. You don't plant a seed today and eat the fruit tomorrow. There's a process: preparing the soil, watering, protecting, waiting. The same is true for success. You might put in effort today and see no visible change for weeks or months. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Growth is often invisible at first. The roots are forming before the fruits appear. The problem is many people quit before the roots are strong enough to sustain the harvest. It also teaches us responsibility. You cannot plant weeds and then be angry when your field is overrun with them. In life, negativity, laziness, and poor choices are weeds. They grow quickly and choke out anything valuable. If you want a different harvest, you must change the seeds you're planting. That means replacing complaints with gratitude, procrastination with action, and doubt with discipline. Another lesson of the harvest is fairness. Life doesn't care if you meant to plant good seeds but didn't. It doesn't reward you for intentions. It rewards you for execution. You can't go to a field in autumn and demand crops if you never work the field in spring. Wishing, hoping, and talking about planting won't bring a harvest. Only planting, nurturing, and staying consistent will. This law also works both ways. Just as bad seeds produce bad results, good seeds produce good results, sometimes in ways you don't expect. Acts of kindness you gave years ago can open doors today. Skills you practiced long ago can create opportunities when you least expect them. Consistent discipline can suddenly pay off in a big moment, even though you've been working quietly for years. The most successful people understand that they are farmers in their own lives. Every conversation, every choice, every habit is a seed. They are intentional about what they plant because they know that one day the harvest will come and it will be too late to change it then. They don't demand instant results. They trust the process. They keep planting and nurturing even when the field looks empty because they know growth is happening beneath the surface. So ask yourself, what seeds am I planting right now? Are they the kind that will lead to the life I want? If not, today is the best time to change them, because no matter how much you wish otherwise, the harvest will match the seeds. And when the season comes to reap, the field will not lie. It will show exactly what you've been doing all along. If you truly want to influence people, you must lead by example. Words may inspire for a moment, but example inspires for a lifetime. You can lecture someone about hard work, discipline, and integrity, but if your life doesn't reflect those qualities, your words lose their power. People are far more likely to follow what they see than what they hear. Think about the people who have impacted you the most. Chances are it wasn't because of a speech they gave you. It was because you watched them live out the values they spoke about. You saw their consistency, their commitment, and their strength when things were difficult. You witnessed how they handled challenges, how they treated others, and how they stayed true to their principles even when it wasn't easy. That silent example spoke louder than any lecture could. When you lead by example, you remove the need for convincing. You no longer have to persuade people with clever arguments because your life becomes the proof of your words. If you tell your team to work hard, but they see you slacking, your credibility disappears. But if they see you showing up early, giving your best effort, and taking responsibility, your leadership becomes natural. They will respect you because you've earned it. The same applies in families. Parents can tell their children to be honest, respectful, and disciplined, but those lessons will only stick if the children see those qualities in their parents' daily actions. A child may forget what you tell them, but they will never forget how you live. Your example shapes their definition of what's normal, what's acceptable, and what's possible. Leading by example also builds trust. People may doubt your words, but they can't deny your actions. If you promise that you'll stand by someone during hard times, the only thing that will prove it is your presence when those hard times arrive. Consistency between your words and your behavior creates a foundation where people feel safe to follow you because they know you mean what you say. One of the most powerful things about leading by example is that it has a ripple effect. When others see you living with discipline and integrity, it challenges them to raise their own standards. Your effort inspires theirs. Your courage sparks their courage. Even without saying a word, your actions can cause a chain reaction of growth in the lives of people around you. However, leading by example requires a high level of self-awareness. You have to understand that your behavior is always communicating something, whether you intend it or not. Every choice you make sends a message. How you handle stress, how you treat people who can't do anything for you, how you respond to failure. All of it is teaching someone something. The question is, are you teaching the right lesson? It also requires consistency. You can't just be a good example when you feel motivated or when the spotlight is on you. True influence comes from living your values day after day, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one seems to notice, because eventually they will notice. And when they do, your example will carry more weight than any speech you could ever give. So if you want to lead, start with yourself. Live the standard you expect from others. Don't just talk about the kind of life you want. Demonstrate it. Let your actions become the evidence, your consistency become the proof, and your life become the lesson. Because the greatest leaders are not the ones who tell people where to go. They are the ones who walk there first and invite others to follow. Living your values means letting your life be the proof of what you believe without having to announce it. Anyone can declare that they believe in honesty, hard work, kindness, or perseverance, but those declarations are meaningless if your daily actions tell a different story. True values are not what you say when you're asked. They are what you do without thinking. The choices you make when it's inconvenient, and the principles you refuse to compromise even when no one is watching. When your life is aligned with your values, you don't need to convince people of who you are. They can see it. They see it in how you handle challenges, in the way you treat others, in the consistency between your words and your actions. People may forget the specific things you've said, but they will remember the feeling of being around you and the example you set. Your life becomes your testimony. The problem is that many people claim values they don't live. They say they value health but live recklessly. They say they value integrity but bend the truth when it benefits them. They say they value growth but avoid challenges that would force them to change. When your actions don't match your stated values, not only do you lose credibility with others, you also lose trust in yourself. Deep down, you know when you're not living up to the standard you claim to believe in, and that self-betrayal weakens your confidence. Living your values requires a willingness to make hard choices. Sometimes it means walking away from opportunities that conflict with your principles. Sometimes it means doing the right thing even when it costs you time, money, or approval. It means holding yourself accountable, not because someone is watching, but because you refuse to be the kind of person who talks one way and lives another. When your values truly guide your life, decision-making becomes simpler. Not always easier, but clearer. You don't have to waste energy debating whether to take shortcuts or compromise because the decision is already made. Your values have already set the boundary lines. You simply follow them even when it's uncomfortable. The impact of living your values goes beyond your own life. People around you will notice, even if they never say it. Your consistency will inspire trust, and trust is the foundation of all strong relationships, whether in family, friendships, or business. When people know you stand for something and they've seen you live it, they know they can rely on you. They know your word means something because you've proven it through action. Living your values also creates a deep sense of inner peace. You no longer feel the stress of pretending to be something you're not. You don't have to keep up an image because your real life matches your public one. There's a quiet strength that comes from knowing you are exactly who you claim to be. That self-respect cannot be bought, borrowed, or faked. It is earned by consistently living in alignment with your beliefs. In the end, the loudest statement you will ever make about your values is the way you live your life. You won't need to constantly defend or explain yourself because your actions will have already done the talking. The people who matter will see it, and the people who don't will eventually realize it. Your life will become proof that values are not something to be spoken of once. They are something to be practiced daily until they are so deeply woven into who you are that they speak louder than any words ever could.